Crash land in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you. You know my word is bleeding from you, yeah. Crash land in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you. You know my word is.
Hey, welcome to Dinner with the Coaches. And I'm excited to be able to have dinner with you all today. First, I'd like to take the chance to recognize our audience and let you know we are excited to be able to have you here joining with us as we have dinner together as a family, as always. So I want to go ahead and introduce our coaches for the evening. I am Nadira Lewis. I am the author and coach of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. And I also have with me Coach Thomas. He's our co-host, Coach Thomas Taylor III, and he is a visionary coach. And he helped you. I'll let Coach Thomas talk about what he does, because Coach Thomas is so awesome. He does a number of things that only Coach Thomas can say it in his words. So I'm gonna let Coach Thomas tell you who he is. And we also have Coach Tracey Lynn Harris and Latrelle Allen, Sharmane Harrison, and Keila Cravid. So welcome to Dinner with the Coaches. Coach Thomas, talk to us.
Good evening. You guys look marvelous. Y'all look marvelous. Again, like always, we just want to take a quick moment and just say thank you for your time. Taking the time out and spending some time with us. We just kind of want to collaborate, talk about some things, what's on our mind, what's going on, to help us from a personal standpoint as well as from a business standpoint. I help individuals expand their vision, right? Kind of past what they feel that they can accomplish to the point where helping them allow their visions and dreams to become reality. So sometimes we kind of get stuck on our situation and not really push through our particular situation to make sure that we are in alignment with what our Creator has designed for us. So this evening, we got a little surprise for you guys in terms of our topic and how we got to our topic, right? So I did a little Facebook Live earlier, and I talked about inventory this morning, you guys, right? I talked about taking some personal inventory of ourselves from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, as well as from a spiritual standpoint. So out of that, my great host developed a beautiful topic, and we're going to talk about how can we become an individual in terms of a person of value, because that word is often tossed around, and sometimes if we don't understand our value, we look for outside recognition or confirmation, and then somebody else will tell us our value. Because we don't understand and know what our value is, we'll go along with what somebody else says and or thinks of us. So Ms. Tracey, why don't you kind of lead us off in terms of, talk about just how do you really understand and become a person that exudes value to the marketplace, to your family, as well as to your friends?
I think a person of value is someone who knows what their purpose is. I think the first step to becoming a person of value is to develop yourself. Miles Monroe said, refine yourself enough to where the world needs you. Refine yourself enough to where the world needs you. Be able to find a problem that you can solve. I think it's important to refine your skills, make sure that you develop yourself constantly so that when you're in someone's presence, you can leave their presence better than what they were when you found them. Even
Okay.
if it's just elevating their emotion along the up another level along the emotion spectrum, even if it's simple as that.
All right. All right. Miss Sharmane, how about yourself? Like, what do you think are some of the attributes to becoming a person that exudes value?
As far as value, I truly believe in order to become a person of value, you have to understand that you have value to give, and knowing kind of what that looks like. And I think another important thing, you have to bring value and be of value, in the internally, as far as self-awareness in the household first, within your family before you kind of branch out. So you have to know what those values look like to you, because everyone's values are different, so that you can relay those values inside your business or things like that, kind of staying authentic. And a lot of people, if you are struggling with value, definitely tapping into those natural, God-given gifts that you are able to, relay to others and help others do. I know for me, when I knew I had value, I was able to help other people. Other people were able to, I was able to help other people get results that they were looking for, help them expand their life. So I knew that when I gave value, that's because I had already became aware of the value that I had within me, and I was able to help others do the same.
Okay. Now, I just want to expand upon that before I go to the next individual. You said when I knew I had value and when I became aware that I had value, like when did that happen for you? Can you elaborate a little bit deeper?
So with me, I'm in a health and wellness space, right? So as a holistic health and wellness coach, for the longest, I struggled with my own health. I struggle with a lot of different illnesses, right? So it was at some point I wasn't always who I was today. So in order for me to become who I was today, I had to do a lot of overcoming, and that started with me. That started with me overcoming my own and understanding who I was. And when I was able to do that, that's kind of when I was like, okay, I think, I got something going on here. It's a little something going on here. And other people, when they're coming to me and they were asking questions like, well, how did you do it? Because I do share, as a coach, I share my experiences on, on the media. So, when people are like, well, how did you do what you were able to do? How were you, I was like, okay, I have something going on here. So I was able to help other people and just, because value is not so much about, value is more of that's what people pay for in business. They're paying for that value, so your value might be all the way up here, that you're giving, so, I mean.
Okay. Nah, I like it. Miss Keila, how about yourself? Like, how did you become a person that understood your value?
In order for understand I am a person of value, I had to understand what was important for me. Because like Sharmane mentioned, I had to find, like, I did had value, because there was time in my life that I was people pleasing, because I didn't understand the value for myself. And with the people pleasing also come of me being in the position to be attracting an available man, right? Because I didn't know that I had value. So I was feeling myself and seeing myself like a kind of begging to stay in the relationship rather than position myself to know that I don't need to run or chase nobody because I have a value. So when I find out that I had a value, I was like, hold on 1 second. Something is wrong in here. I don't need to chase nobody. It's not like, yes, I have to wait for them to come to me, but I no longer be attracting those unavailable people to my life, because I have a confidence in myself. I have option now. I have option. The people will come and I got to choose who will stay by my side because I just discovered my value. So like Shamir mentioned, everyone has different values. So when you integrate the value, what is meant for you, what is important, what about it that can connect other people toward you, this is where the matches will be coming to the place. Well, the people will be connecting with you because they will be able to share the same kind of value as yours. And one of the things that I late find out is about the integrity. I was like, oh, whoa, this is like a super powerful, and is my number one value. I really, really like go into it, and I will not let myself down to please nobody or to say something and don't go along to what I'm doing. Yeah, it's
All
really, really
right, all
cool.
right, all right. Now, I hope everybody's listening because I'm hearing some synergies here. When I discovered, when I realized, when I like, there's an epiphany that's going on here that there's some sort of awakening with inside of everybody where they're like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. And right before we go to Latrelle, do you guys think value is somehow attributed to self-esteem? Now hold that. We're gonna come back to that one though. We're gonna come back to that. Go ahead, Latrelle. How about yourself? Like, how'd you become a person of value, especially in your industry?
um, Good evening, everybody. Two things came to mind when in hearing everybody speak. The first thing that I thought about. So I'm currently reading The Purpose Driven Life,
Awesome book.
and me and Nadira, we've been
Awesome book.
talking about that a lot
Mm.
lately. And one of the things that I have come to realize with reading that book is our relationship with the Creator, with God. God is the manufacturer, right? We are the product. When we discover that exactly while we were here, while we are here, what we are put here for, when we realize that, when we come into that discovery, right? It's like what is his
Mm-hmm.
name? Mark Twain. Two most important days: the day we were born, and then the day we found out why we were here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Once we
Mhm.
figure that out and we operate in that space, that's where the value comes in, because then we are intentionally, we are operating according to the way we were created to be. I was
Mm-hmm.
sharing this with my roommate earlier today. I was, just talking about, just items in the house, a microwave and or a refrigerator. They each have their own specific purpose, right? The microwave wasn't meant to be the refrigerator. It wasn't built that way, and vice versa, right? Every single individual has their specific purpose for living. And then once we discover why we are here, that value comes to life. It's like that thing. It's like we naturally that value is just naturally there. It's like a magnet, and everybody is drawn to it. And to that, my second point, to piggyback off what Sharmane just said, I thought about, I don't know the scripture, but I know the story in the Bible where it talks about, I think it was Simon Peter, who wanted to purchase, right, this thing that the disciples had, this power, right, that they had, that had the will to do all these great things, these exploits, whatever he saw them do, and he wanted to buy it.
Mm.
But you can't buy that. And when they were operating in a something special, something unique, that was the Holy Spirit. That's a value you cannot buy, right? And so the journey and the process that we go through in life to discover who we are, that's the value that naturally comes on us when we figure that out, when we figure out why we were created. And so when people, like Charmaine said, people, successful people, however people, run their businesses or whatever, whatever people, everybody wants that thing, right? They want to be like Oprah. They want to be like, Tyler Perry's. They want to be like whomever that's up there. They want that thing, but the thing is in them. They just have to figure that out. right? And then once they figure that out, they don't have to go scrounging and trying to pay for, throw money at it, because you can't buy that. You cannot buy that kind of value. So those are
Okay.
my two things that came to my
Okay.
mind when
Okay.
you talked about it.
Now you said some powerful things. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Miss Nadira, how about yourself?
I think I would have to say I agree with everybody, especially with Tracey and Sharmane and Latrelle. Everybody's example of being refining your gifts. I think it's definitely important that you identify. You first have to identify, become aware of what your gift is, and then once you realize that your gift, once you realize how the uniqueness, once you find your uniqueness in that gift, then you start to set yourself apart from other people. Your uniqueness is what sets you apart, and that is where you really determine. The more you refine your gifts, because we don't actually perfect our gifts, right? Because our gift, every good and perfect gift is from above. So the gifts that God has on the inside of us is already perfected. The only thing that we have to really work on is being aware. The more aware of the uniqueness of our gifts are, then I think then we'll begin to be more comfortable in being able to operate in it. So that's what I would have to say. Definitely being able to identify your uniqueness. For me, that's what it was for me. I knew that I had something on the inside of me. I may have not known what, and being able to put it in words what it was. But because when we think of gifts, we start to think of, oh, it's this or it's that. But I knew that my gift was not something that I can verbalize and say, oh, yeah, this is my gift. I can do this and I can do that. I just knew there was just an awareness, a heightened awareness that I had the capability and the uniqueness to do different things. And when I started to realize my uniqueness, I started to realize, wait a minute, this is actually setting me apart from this or from that. So to me, I would have to say being able to identify your uniqueness. And once you know your gift, once you refined it, once you've actually been able to identify your uniqueness, you become invaluable, because people pay for uniqueness. When I think it was Miles Monroe, he was saying, when you go to McDonald's, right? McDonald's is the only place you can get a Whopper. I mean, I'm sorry, Burger King, not a Whopper, a Big Mac. McDonald's is the only place you can get a Big Mac, right? Some people will bypass every other store just to get that Big Mac, right? Because of its uniqueness. There's a system that has been set up that makes the Big Mac taste the way it is. So it doesn't matter if you make it at home, it's not going to taste the way they made it, because it is their uniqueness. It's the same thing with us. There are certain things about us and our gifts that make us unique and distinguishable amongst different people. So that is what distinguishes us from the next person, our uniqueness. So whatever it is that you're unique in, you might be unique in being even though you might have two people that have the gift of cooking, right? Well, one person their gift may be cooking, they might have an expertise in baking certain types of cakes and cookies, where somebody else may have the gift of cooking, but it might be in cooking food, a certain type of food. So I think finding out your uniqueness is what's going to help you distinguish yourself from other people around you.
Okay. Wow. Great comments. So we're going to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to put a little twist to it. So, and I want to kind of start with what Latrelle talked about, the Purpose-Driven Life book. Okay. So in that book, Latrelle, on page 14, it says something, and it says that it's not about you. So when we understand that the whole purpose of us living our lives, once we understand, and it says it in the beginning, it's not about you, we live our lives differently. So here's the twist. If we're living our lives that's not about us, to help people in terms of understand, like Latrelle was talking about, like why we're here. We discovered why we're here. And if that value is tied to that self-esteem, you guys help me out. And can you see where people can get caught Because if you don't really understand that what you're doing is not about you, as soon as you think it's about you and you tie your self-esteem to it, if your self-esteem is low, now your value is low. So let's talk about really understanding that everything that we're doing is really not about us. But what happens is we put our emotions and feelings into it, and then we really don't get a chance to live and be all that our Creator has designed for us. So let's talk about that. Tracey, how about yourself? What do you say about that?
Well, I definitely agree with you. Self-esteem is definitely tied to how we see ourselves, therefore tied to if we feel like we're valuable or not. I definitely for years did not recognize myself as being valuable. Now that I've discovered what my value is, I actually can look back and see where I was valuable and did add value to people's lives and my own. But during that time, I was so focused on my fears, my strongholds, everything that had me gripped from my past and the lies that had been written on my slate telling me things that I was not worthy and not good enough. It blocked me from actually being able to walk in my true value and what God, the gift that God has given me. I wasn't able to see that. But it definitely when people started to tell me, you know, mentors and things like that, that it's not about you, your gift is for us to serve someone else, then I was able to shift my perception of myself because you look at other people, your children or your sisters. I'm the oldest of sisters. And, you know, I always want them to be better and to be this and that. And so when I started thinking about how I care about them, then I was able to see what I could contribute and how I was valuable.
Yeah. Wow. Do you guys, you see how deep that is? Do you see? Did you watch that? Like, did you watch that whole evolution of what she talked about? Because sometimes, just think about the individuals that go through that and they get stuck. They get stuck on believing what somebody else told them that they are, not realizing that the journey that they're on is really, number one, not about them. Number two, those things that are being said about them is not the truth. Why? Because somewhere in the beginning of that book, he talks about we were created in his likeness, in his image, not man's image, right? But they don't preach that a lot. They don't talk about that a lot. But it's there if you want to read it. It's there though. We get caught on what man says about us. So that's really important what Tracey's saying, because just think about how many people get stuck right there. And then what happens is you put yourself in a position where you're not living your life like we're talking about. We're living our lives to please the person who said those things about us. Sharmane, what do you think about that? I see you smiling over there.
Nah, Tracey definitely hit it on the head. That was very powerful. You know, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. You know, I knew I had that value once I was able to help other people, you know, go on the path to get their desired results, you know, to live the, you know, to get those results within their own lives. So I often say, wander through the wilderness, right? So when I'm helping people, wander through the wilderness. And basically it's that journey that we go on. We don't have to go through that by ourselves. So my job is to help you to go through that journey, you know, because it's going to be your journey, but I'm going to help you. Because once you get to the end, guess what? The rest is on you, how you want to build, how you want to structure, you know, how you want to go forward from there. So I often say wander through the wilderness. So that's kind of what that made me think about when Tracey was speaking. You know, value has a lot to do with your self-esteem. You know, you go from asking yourself, do I deserve, to just basically, I deserve. You know, there is no question within that. It goes hand in hand with self-worth. And it boils down to, do we care? And who do we want to make an impact on? Is it for us? Is it for our family? Is it for other people? So it goes, it's levels to it. It's definitely levels to it. Because when I went through my journey, I could have said, oh, well, you know, my skin's good to go, you know, whatever, go on with my life. But because I do want to make an impact, just not on my family, but for other people struggling with illnesses, to overcome and kind of get over that hump, my mindset, my value, my self-worth, my self-image, all those things do go hand in hand. So I'm able to help others do the same thing.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And we're going to come back to that a little bit later, because you not only had the self-esteem we talked about, but you also had a physical impairment, like your actual body that people can actually see. So that adds another layer on top of value, because now you're trying to mitigate not only what people think about you, but what are they saying about you, because they physically see you. We have another guest that's just joined us, Mr. Junior. How's it going out there, sir?
Man, it's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. No complaints whatsoever. I'm so happy to be with all tonight.
Good. Just to bring you up to speed, we're talking about how to become a person of value. Like kind of everybody gave their description of that. Then we kind of got a little bit deeper. Latrelle is reading on The Purpose-Driven Life. And inside that book, it talks about how we should live our lives on purpose. And we talked about page 14, talks about it's not about you. But at the same time, we're talking about how value is directly proportioned to self-esteem, and how do we kind of get around that, where sometimes if our self-esteem is not high enough, we get emotionally attached to that and we start to decrease our value in the marketplace. Any thoughts, Junior?
Definitely, the way that you become a person of value is by adding value. One, it's just by adding value. It's very simple. But when it comes to self-esteem, I would say it starts with a decision. So I agree. You have to make a decision to become a person of value, and you have to make a decision that you are valuable. It's all a decision. And just before I go on, I was on another call, and I was with a coach, and she was charging about $3,000, okay, roughly, and split second, he built something for $12K, right, in a split second, and it started with a decision. She had to make a decision to charge $12K. So we made a decision. We helped her to make a decision, and then, based on her new decision, she was then able to justify her value. She then saw the reason now. Okay, well, this is $12K, so why is this $12K? It's almost like the reticular activation system, right? What you focus on, you find. What you focus on, you find. If you believe that you're a person of value, then you will find reason within yourself to justify your value. Your mind will help you to find reasons to justify your value. But it starts with a decision. It starts with self-esteem. And like it say, that the game really begins and ends with you and the way that you feel about yourself.
Amen. All right. That was powerful. Woo! You came in right on time, Junior. Perfect time. Like double dutch, right? It's like double dutch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ms. Nadira, do you want to kind of go to a commercial before we kind of go to the next segment?
Yes. Are you guys really enjoying this? Let me know in the comments from those that are watching. I know we got a few people that are watching with us. Let us know how you are enjoying this version of understanding your value as of this far. And while we're going to commercial break, I want you to pick up the phone, send somebody a message and say, hey, Dinner with the Coaches is on. We got Coach Thomas, Sharmane Harris, Keila Cravid, Tracey Harris, and Junior Frederick online right now. Pick up the phone, text somebody, send them an email, send them a text, and let them know that we are here to help you define your value. And while you're doing that, we'll be back right after this.
There's no need for fire. I'm your greatest
Hi, I'm Nadira, author, life, and business coach, and founder of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. I'm excited to be able to bring to you a class that I'm going to be teaching on called How to Build Digital Products with Ease. This course is going to be filled with so much amazing content. We're going to talk about how to create ebooks, journals, courses, and so much more. So make sure you registered. Link is below. So make sure that you sign up so that you don't miss how to use your creativity to create products that will benefit you and your potential clients to come. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder.
All right, we bring the thunder.
I was over there bobbing and weaving, boy.
We are here to work specifically and to serve you. And I wanted to just be able to let you guys know that when I think about some of the things that we were talking and discussing about value and making a decision, sometimes we don't really know our value until we go through the refining process. And that refining is making small changes. You know, sometimes you don't really know what your value really is until you start to go through things to realize, and somebody else is appreciating the things that you're giving them, and they're telling you, wow, I receive value from what you did. Sometimes that's when we realize, oh, wait, you know, I've gone through this and I thought that I didn't have any value because of this or because of that. But when you become more aware and you allow the refining process, which means making small changes, when you allow those small changes to take place in your life, it brings clarity to what you offer. And when you have clarity on what you offer, it becomes a lot more easily acceptable, because that's the thing. Sometimes we can even know we have value, but don't accept the value that we bring. So that's where the low self-esteem, we don't esteem ourselves where we esteem ourselves from where we are. All right. If you're at a low state in your mind, that's where you're going to esteem yourself, that you're only going to be able to see a little bit of your value. But I believe the more you start to step away from the canvas, when we're up close on the canvas, we can't really see the whole picture. And that's how it is in our life. When we're too close to circumstances and situations, we don't get to see the big picture. But the minute we begin to slow down and step back, we begin to start seeing things as they really are. And that's how we have to do with our own lives. We have to slow down, and we have to not be afraid of those alone times, because sometimes we're looking for people to give us value in the midst of other people. Sometimes you have to go be alone. You have to go be alone and sit with yourself. Some of us don't like to be alone. Some of us feel like we have to be around people to be able to identify our strength, our gifts. But the more I have learned that the value in being alone allows you to see who you are, and allow you to be alone in the presence of God, so he can show you who you are, because nobody can show you your value, your true value, outside of God. I'm sorry, he just can't. He just can't. You might be able to get a little tidbit, but man, when you get alone, and I get scared when I hear people say, I don't like being alone. I get really nervous around people like that, because I'm like, if you don't like being alone, I definitely don't want to be around you.
You don't want to be alone with them, huh?
If you can't be alone by yourself, that's a problem. Because there's deposits that take place. Thinking, you know, I heard Earl Nightingale talked about the importance of thinking. You know, sometimes our value is downloaded when we take time to think. When we sit down and really begin to evaluate everything that's happened in our life, all the things that is happening in our lives, not just the bad, but those things that are good too. You'll be amazed at how much your mind will begin to shift, and you start to realize that I do have something to offer. I do have something to offer to this generation, and I'm going to position myself so that I can be able to offer that in exchange for what I need.
Yep, that's awesome. So we're gonna go a little bit deeper. We're gonna go one level deeper. So one of my favorite motivational individuals is Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn was asked a question. And they said, Jim, what's the key to greatness? And Jim Rohn said, service. So service is the key to greatness. So based upon all of those things that we talked about, I have a question, and you don't have to get too deep, right? But what areas in your life, right, do you feel where you can be more valuable and add more value? Right? I'll say it again. Now, based upon service, what areas in our lives, in your life, right, where you feel that you can be more valuable as well as add more value? Latrelle, how about yourself? Let's start with Latrelle.
Now is this a direct question for us, or is it like a
Yeah. It's direct. It's direct, but you can answer it any way you want, because we just kind of want to give the audience some realness about where we are as individuals, where we're going, where we came from,
right,
and then equate that to value.
That's a very good question. I haven't actually taken the necessary time to like Nadira said, to actually think about that. But I would probably say, for me, like just knowing where I am, I would probably say it's more so. I would probably say maybe more so like focusing. I would serve like my business, or just
Okay.
even the in the space of my mindset, my mental growth, giving a little bit more to it. And that's not to say that what I have been doing is not enough. Because I've gone through a lot this year.
Yeah, we understand.
With my mom and everything passing away. So it's kind of like really finding myself getting back into a groove, or a different groove, a new groove, if you will. So it's kind of really like giving myself, as we kind of talk about all the time these days, in a new era of self-care, right? Just really making sure that I am aware of how I navigate, how I navigate moving forward. Because a lot of times when we deal with grief, it shows up in ways we never really expected. So being in tune with what I'm doing, be it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, is key in making sure that I'm finding balance. We talk about that all the time with Nadira. And the best, I think it's John C. Maxwell has a book, and I think it's his first book. It's his first leadership book, talking about, I think it's, leading yourself. I'm paraphrasing, but, y'all may be aware of the book. But leading yourself first is what that first book is talking about, before we can lead others, which is his second one. So I have to work. I am working on being a better service to myself. Because I know I'm pretty much doing it, well with my family, in my career, as an actor on Clubhouse, just building relationships and seeing how I can be of service to people. I did that about a couple of weeks ago. This one guy who's in Brooklyn, I believe, Brooklyn or Harlem. I think he's in Brooklyn. And, I reached out to him and said, hey, if there is anything that you need on any of your projects, I would love, to come and help out, just kind of really get to know. I call them my Mod Squad family, in person, because I've been growing and building a relationship with them on Clubhouse for a while. So I said, these are the skill sets that I have. If you need them, by all means, let me know what I can do. I just want to, meet you guys, for the first time in person, get to know you better, without asking for anything in return. Forgive the noise in the background if I can hear it. So And they say the best leader is the ones who are the best servants.
Mm.
All right, awesome, man,
A
awesome,
great leader is a great servant.
awesome.
Right. So yeah, I just
All
wanted to
right.
add that to it. So
Okay, all right. Kayla, you're gonna go next, but I want to make it a point here though. Now, Latrelle got through that, right? As you can see, she said she haven't really thought about that. Little bit difficult, and that's the purpose of what we're doing right now. Is to start to challenge ourselves to take inventory of ourselves. Because then when we present ourselves, especially in the marketplace, as Junior was talking about, we already understand our value, right? And it's not debatable, it's not questionable. We could say it with our chest and we could stand on it, right? So that's why, in this environment, I'm asking these questions, because these are just little things that we as coaches kind of start to really think about and then take inventory. So it just makes us better. So Kayla, would you like to share? Great job, Latrelle. Great job.
Yeah, so for me, where I have been was lack of confidence, lack of low self-esteem, lack of a lot of things. um, and it was like a birthing when it's come to
Okay.
a value. It's like a waking up from the sleep. So in this awakening, what came to me was confidence, because I have been seeing a lot of people, myself included, being in the sleep mode, like doing stuff, not like not standing in the purpose, not standing in the gift, just living life day by day, but not really tapping in on what they were putting this world to do. So on me talking about confidence today, it had to be like a lot of work had to be done, like a healing work, like a trauma, wounds.
Yeah.
Those things need to be done first in order for me to be the person I am, in order for me to become, because it's not about like the work have been done and it stopped. Doesn't work this way. You need to carry on working in yourself, like level up every single time. While you're moving to the next step, you will be facing other challenge. So that's why it's really important for the transformation to begin in yourself.
Amen.
There is no such a thing like I will transform your life and my life is I'm broken. So you need to be able to stand in your power so that the other person will be seeing the light through you. So you need to get your stuff, work on your stuff. Like it's low self-esteem, work on it. It's low self-love. Give the love that you're looking for. That's why I love to talk about give the self-love, because like I mentioned before, I was in the position that I was begging somebody else to be in a relationship. And now I know that I love myself enough to not position myself that way, to not like run back of somebody else, because what I need and want, they don't have. They cannot provide me if I don't have myself. So is love yourself. Latrelle mentioned a little bit about self-care. This as well will be coming into place and to the package, because if you don't take care of yourself, you will fall apart. Because sometimes we are in this doing, giving, serving, and we are pouring from an empty cup. We need to fill our cup first so that we will be giving to others. So this is a little bit.
Yeah, nah, that was good. Nah, that's awesome.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was awesome.
Wow.
You definitely a different person than when we first started. That's for sure, boy. So you coming out your shell. How about yourself, Junior? Areas in your life where you can be and add more value?
Oh man, so many areas. I'm always to improve myself, but I think I've come to a point where I'm doing a lot. So it's almost like it's not anything for lack of effort. So now I'm thinking
Okay.
about ways I could be more efficient because we all have 24 hours.
Yeah.
So if you could only work, let's say hypothetically, we could, all of us could work at 24 hours. The only way to get better is to now be more efficient with those 24 hours. So what I'm doing is I'm beginning to track my numbers. So when I say my numbers, what I mean is, okay, what am I doing during this time? How fast can I get this done? How can I close this gap? How can I close that gap? If I'm doing something in 1 hour, how can I do it in 40 minutes? How could I be more efficient? I think being more efficient will allow me to learn faster, to learn more, and to produce more so I could be more valuable to everybody here and to everybody I get in contact with. So I would say for me, the number one way I could be more valuable is by being more efficient, a more efficient human being.
Okay. All right. Junior says more efficient. Miss Tracy, how about yourself? Good
Um,
job, Junior.
I definitely, I agree with everything that's been said so far. Especially Kayla talking about filling your cup first. For me, the area that I think that I need to uh, be of more value is to myself, adding more value to myself first, just so
Mm-hmm.
that I can sharpen my skills, refine my skills, build up my confidence, and fill my cup to the point where when I'll be serving others from a place of power instead of
Okay.
before, like Kayla said earlier, people pleasing. I was serving others. It was from a place of pain and draining myself because I was looking for approval because I wasn't already filled. So
Mm-hmm.
my first goal is to serve myself to the highest degree so that I can then be full enough to serve others to the highest degree.
Wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. She said looking for approval, you guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's deep, man. Wow. That's a whole nother rabbit hole right there, boy. Woo. Looking for approval.
It was
Miss
definitely
Charmaine, yeah, yeah. I mean, that has so many different levels to it, you know? Yeah. Miss Charmaine, how about
Right.
yourself?
Um, when I'm thinking about just value in itself, the self image, the self esteem had a
Mm,
lot to do with that during my journey. And I understand that different events happen in our lives
mm-hmm.
that kind of make us evaluate those stages of value that show up in our life.
Okay.
So relationships, business, personal life, health, all these things. So I know with my self-image, at that time when I was going through being diagnosed with the skin condition the condition that affected my skin, my 95% of my skin was pigmented,
How much
and
percent?
with that physical 95% from my scalp all the way to
Wow.
my feet. Yes. So, my physical condition, it just made me understand when I went through that my heart didn't change. Who I was as a person didn't change. My physical condition changed, yes, but who I was, my value did not change. So
Mm-hmm.
with my self-esteem, during that time, I often said that physical change that showed up on me was like literally me wearing the opinions of others, along with all the things that I went through that I was still holding on to that no longer served me. So when I was able to let those things go, when I was able to move forward with my life, when I was able to just bring that change and things like that, that's when I saw the biggest transformation. And as a health coach, I learned to just give more than, I've learned to give more than what I've asked for. So continuously learning. For me, continuously learning in my niche, studying the fields, my fields of expertise and just making growth a part of my daily habits in all areas of life. The health, the relationship, the business, the family, just all areas of life. So I understand that, when I made it a daily habit, growth, a daily habit, and focused on that one day at a time, then that's really what made that big change. And that's what I continue to do. So it's not so much one part of my life, it's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of all of them combined that I'm working on little by little.
Wow, that's incredible. You was cutting out a little bit though, but how are you able to separate your physical from your spiritual in terms of the things that was going on inside of you versus what was happening outside of you? Right? Was you able to separate that? Because what did you heal? My question is, did you heal from the inside out? Was you able to heal from the inside out, or vice versa?
Oh, definitely, definitely. It had to definitely come from the inside because if I allowed other people to worry about what other people thought
Yeah.
and how they felt and all these things, like I had to cut off family members because of the
Mm.
simple fact that they were just like, "What's wrong with your skin? What's wrong with you?" You know, and it was like I wasn't going to allow that, so I had to create. You know, I had to eliminate. I'm not even going to say create boundaries. I didn't create boundaries. I just let it go. It is what it is. You know, so I had to get to a point. You know, internally it's just I had to work on it day by day because there were days where I was, you know, more confident than others, but I didn't allow myself to sit there too long. I had to listen to a different tune. I had to, you know, turn on the motivational audio or turn on something that was going to help me because if I sat and listened to my internal self 24/7, I would have stayed depressed and going through anxiety and all
Yeah.
these things. So I had to listen to a different tune.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Great job. Great job. Miss Nadira, how about yourself? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think for me, when I first desired to make a change in anybody else's life, it didn't just start like that. I think as I started to overcome certain mindsets, I started to relate to people who were in the same mindsets. And so I became eager to help the people that were going through the same mindsets, which is why I do what I do now, why I help people take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. Because I didn't wake up and say, let me just help. I want to help this type of person or this type of person. I wasn't in the right mindset to really think like that. So as I started to heal, as I started to develop, you know, in my mindset, in my thinking, in my actions, as I started to overcome certain things, it just became I realized I started to take inventory of what I started journaling, right? Some of the things that I was overcoming. And then when I would have conversations with people, and then I would find myself easily giving them solutions that I went through. And then I started to realize when it started to bring change to their life, I realized, wow, I didn't realize that what I went through, actually, there was some value, there was some wisdom that came from that became value to help somebody else. So I think the more we take, like you said, when we take inventory and we think about all the things that we've gone throughout our life, and we think about the skill sets that we have, and we combine them together, we start to see what problems we can solve. I don't think our first desire should be, let me seek a business. It should be, let me seek a problem that I can solve. Let me see how I can help this person. If, especially now where everybody's into authenticity, right? Everybody wants the authentic you. Right. So the authentic you, which means you have to show up, right? You, the part of being authentic is you have to be a part of, you have to show up as you. And showing up as you means you're at a place where you can actually relate to the person that you're talking to, and you're able to bring them through, give them realistic solutions on how to get through things, not stuff you just read about or stuff you just all of a sudden saw with somebody else. It's stuff that you've lived through, stuff that you've learned, stuff that you've taken inventory and said, you know what, I know how to do that. It's almost like if you know how to do something, if you went for a specific skill set, right? You know that when you get around an area that caused that demand is requested, you can say, oh yeah, I can do that because I have the skill set for that. And I think when we realize what we're capable of, yeah, I did overcome depression. So when it comes to talking to somebody that's depressed, I can relate to where they are, because just like Paul said, we became as they were so that you may win them. You can't win somebody in a place you ain't never been. You know, I can't tell you how to
Amen.
overcome your mind if I ain't had issues with my mind. I can't tell you how to take your life experiences and turn them into life lessons if I ain't learned the lessons from my own experiences. So for me, I started to realize that I started to stop seeking. I didn't start out with the mindset of I want to start a business. I started out as how can I started looking for people that, not even really looking, I just was coming into contact with people that have gone through the same thing that I went through. Because what happens is when you change, your conversation change, how you talk changes, and people I can identify, especially if they're used to seeing you in a certain toxic mindset from before, and then they see you talking positive, or they see you talking from a different place, they're going to start wondering like, what changed? You know, what is it about your demeanor that changed? You used to look like this, you used to be like this, and now you're like this. So this started to pique interest. Then as people will come privately, you got people that come to you privately, and you got people that come to you openly and say, how'd you do that? How did you overcome that? And when I realized more people were coming to me privately, that's when I realized, honestly, my value. Because if you had to come to me privately, right? That let me know that you saw something. You saw a change that took place in my life. You saw what it was doing in me first, right? Because I don't want nothing that didn't change you first. You know,
publicly.
You know, I don't want to be a part of anything or any system that doesn't bring change to your life first. If it doesn't bring change to you, it's definitely gonna bring change to me. So I started to realize that, wow, there's some value here. The lessons and the things that I've gone through changed my life first. I was first partaker, and me being first partaker made me eager to help other people that were going through the same thing, and do it authentically, do it boldly. And the only thing I just didn't do is where it became a business for me is because I started to incorporate tools that I first used and tools that I created as a result of the things that I went through to help get through it.
Wow, that's incredible, man. That is incredible. And for me, I see we're about to get to the top of the hour, so I'm going to make mine a little bit short. But for me, you know, to be honest and transparent with you guys, my driver was growing up without my father, to be honest with you. Now, growing up without my father, I didn't realize I didn't have my father until I actually got a challenge from God to change my name. Once God and the Holy Spirit put on me to change my name is when I had to look back to find my father, to realize that even though he wasn't physically there, he was an intricate part of my name. Ultimately, to come to a conclusion that his name was Thomas Taylor Jr. that I never knew. So from a biblical standpoint, my birth name was Thomas Taylor III. So it was a driver for me to always seek to understand who I was. And then ultimately to be the opposite of who he was, which was not around. So it constantly pushed me, even to this day, and propelled me to be more, do more, but at the same time, make sure that I live a legacy, not only by the way I live, but the things that I teach. And that's why I realized that, like when Latrelle talked about purpose-driven life, and read that book a couple of times, that all that I went through, Nadira, you're talking about an awakening, all that I went through wasn't for me. But he continuously allows us to go through the heartache and pain, just as he did his son on the cross. Why? So we know and understand what it feels like. So we're talking to individuals about moving, pulling, and stretching. It's because we've been there. So that driver for me was actually out of despair, because I grew up not realizing and understanding who I was because it wasn't passed to me. So it created a fire inside of my belly to always be in a position to be more, do more, and give more, which is ultimately why we're here today, because we got an opportunity, Nadira and I, to speak about what was burned inside of my belly, what was burned inside of hers, and we created what we have, not for us, but to develop a platform for other individuals to talk about their wins, right? Their successes, their pains, right? To ultimately start to heal the world, you guys, right? I really want you guys to take a minute and understand the magnitude of what we created. This platform alone, individuals are listening. And that's why I asked the question, because there's different levels of value in terms of what we can bring, what we're doing individually. Like Junior talked about in terms of efficiency. Yep, there's only 24 hours in a day. 3/8. Divide them any way you choose. Right? If you want to be more efficient, there's certain things that we have to do. Right? So again, for me, it was birthed out of my pain to be in a position, because I grew up without my father, to add more value to those individuals who felt the same pain. Miss Nadira?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't help somebody else overcome anything, because even to be successful in business, you don't want to be a distraction with your personal life. And so you don't want to be so overwhelmed with things that are going on. It's good to talk about those things. It's good to talk about the things that you've overcome, because we don't know who's listening. We don't know who's desiring to, or who might be in the midst of, who might have a business. We think that business owners sometimes, and entrepreneurs, that they have it all together, right? They don't go through anything. They don't suffer sometimes with being discouraged. They don't deal with pressure. And so I think when we come together and we talk about, as entrepreneurs and as business owners, when we begin to have discussions about life and business, I think it motivates other people to say, you know what, I'm not the only one that's going through this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I dealt with this too. And then it opens up the door for people to be able to say, you know what, because I can relate, then now they can listen to you. I can't help somebody if you're hungry, right? If you're hungry and I can't help you with your problem if I don't first take care of your needs, right?
Yes,
So that's
amen.
what we have to desire to do. If you're hungry, you ain't gonna have the strength or the energy to hear anything I have to say. So when I actually take care of your needs, then I feel like you'll be more open and more because it's like what Sean said, when you're dealing with different pain points, right? If you're dealing with, some people will only move when they're in enough pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for you to, there's some people who, there's a flip side of it. You might have some people who go through things and they don't want to change. They don't want to make the necessary changes, right? So because they don't want to make you can't really put a lot of energy and stock into people who refuse to make the necessary changes that bring results. So when you get to a client or somebody that says, you know what, I'm ready, you know, and I'm ready to move past this, then you can be able to help bring them through whatever it is that they went through. And your life even the better when your life is intact, right? Because like I said, you don't want to be a distraction. You don't want your life to say one thing and you trying to help somebody else. And you actually, like Keila said, operating from an empty cup. So
Yeah.
I just want to take the time to tell each of you guys, thank you so much. Before we actually end our broadcast, I want to take the time to give each and every one of us an opportunity to introduce who we are and what we can do and what we bring to the marketplace, so that you can be able to know we're here every Sunday at 7 p.m. and we're here to serve you. We're here to serve you in whatever capacity that we have the ability to do so. So I'm going to start with Tracey. Tracey, you want to talk about who you are and what you do, and we'll work all the way down to Junior.
Okay. My name is Tracey Harris. I'm a life empower coach. I take professional women who feel stuck from stalling to balling, basically helping them recognize their potential and transforming that into their power. You can follow me on Instagram at Tracey Lynn Harris. You can follow me on Facebook, just Tracey Harris, and also on TikTok at Tracey Harris 15.
Latrelle?
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you once again, Nadira, for this platform. My name is Latrelle Allen. I'm an actress. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. And, I'm a storyteller. And my job is to basically help writers and directors bring their visions to life, right? Bring the words from the page to life. And so, like Tracey said, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Clubhouse at Latrelle Allen.
Sharmane?
Hello, you guys. I am Sharmane Harrison, herbal naturopath, and I help release people from a toxic lifestyle into natural wellness using nature. So, if you are looking to wander through the wilderness and upgrade your health and wellness naturally to go from dealing to healing, you are able to book a call with me at www.healbynature.org.
And Keila? Can't hear you.
Fantastic, right? I'm Keila Cravid, and I am a confidence coach. I help female entrepreneurs find fulfillment and awaken their confidence, because I have been there. I have been in the sleep mode, feeling stuck, not knowing what I want for my life. And once I discover, I am the woman who are speaking to you today. So if you want, up level your confidence and get more visible, because you came to this world to stand in your power and shine your light, you can get me on the I am Keila Cravid in IG or Facebook, Keila Cravid.
All right. My name is Thomas Taylor III. I'm your co-host. I'm a visionary coach. I help leaders make their dreams a reality so they can position themselves in the marketplace and strengthen their family legacy. You can reach out to me on any social media platform at Thomas Taylor III. If you'd like to email me, if you have a conversation that you want to talk about, you can email me at tyd@tailoryourdreams.com. And it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege serving you guys.
All right. My name is Frederick. I'm a development strategist. I help professionals and entrepreneurs build industry-leading brands. You could find me on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And yeah, that's it. That's it pretty much. So thank you so much for having me on.
All right. And I am Nadira Lewis. I am an inspirational life and business coach. I help women take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. And you can reach me both on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, all across social media at the @handle Woman of Prov, or you can reach me at www.womanofproverbscoaching.com. Thank you guys so much for watching us. We enjoy. I don't see any questions. If you, we'll give you a minute or so. If you have any questions that you want to ask any of the coaches here, we'll be here for one more minute to answer those questions. We have somebody that said, "Hello, coaches." If you don't allow StreamYard to access your Facebook page, we won't be able to identify who you are while we are live. But thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. All right. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. I just want to take the time. Oh, okay. I was waiting. I thought somebody else came up. I just want to take the time for each and one of you coaches. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, we will see you next week. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful night.
Crash land in the palm of my hand. Valley of Flex wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we flow. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you. You know my word is needed from you, yeah. Crash land in the palm of my hand. Valley of Flex wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we flow. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you.